Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new league racing video. Today we are doing a completely different concept of league racing. And as you can hear there, our teammate Danny Bresnay is doing this league race as well. He's sitting a few meters away from me, and the concept of this league race is you basically get a one-shot quali and a 100% race, but beforehand, until you're in the lobby, you do not know what track you're going to be driving on. So we are definitely going to be starting from last anyway, but I just wanted to, you know, do the qualifying lap, invalidate on purpose somewhere around the lap, so we do start last. And yeah, that way we can just get a little bit of a feeling of the track before starting the race, because you don't know beforehand until everyone is in the lobby. Until then, the track is not chosen, so we did not know we were going to be driving on Imola. And honestly, this is such a great concept in my opinion, because it means you don't have to practice a full week beforehand, and especially for us esports drivers that, you know, have to prepare for F1 esports. We don't have to then go into league races being on the back foot, as everyone is on the back foot for a race like this, and it makes it so much fun, you know. No practice for anyone.
My first few corners were so bad.
Yeah, mine too.
And yeah, we would have gone P2 there on the grid, but yeah, the first few corners were so bad. I think I lost around half a second there. But yeah, we were aiming to start last anyway. And as you can see there, a lot of rain this race. We're going to be starting on the full wets. And so is our teammate Danny Bresnay. A few on inters. I think the inters might be a better choice, but I decided, you know what, let's make it even more challenging. We're going for full wets and try to get track position early on. And then yeah, we will have to box for inters, and the people who start on inters won't. Yeah. And that's the advantage they will have, of course. But let's see if we can get anywhere close to pulling off a pit stop distance before the conditions change to intermediates. But let's head into it now. We're starting P17 on the grid. The guy behind us has actually jumped the start already and got a drive-through penalty, the AlphaTauri, as you can see there. But we're moving quite slowly off the line as we're trying to get the power down. We got Isvan Puki on the right, Sonny LM on the left. There are a lot of Hungarians in this league, as there's a front wing flying off in turn 1-2. But yeah, this is a Hungarian league, that's why Danny is doing this, and he's also the one that invited me to doing this. But through turn 1-2 we go. Good gains already made. We've gone from P17 to P13 as we go for a cheeky little switch back. The Williams got a poor exit there, and up to P11 we go. Having a little look down the inside of Norby in the Aston Martin, and yeah, there are a few F1 esports drivers in there actually. We've got, of course, our teammate Danny Bresnay, Isvan Puki, but we also got Ben Sabo, and there's another guy who did challenges last year in the Ferrari is driving, and Thomas Gall, which I think test driver for one of the esports teams. But back to the race we go now. It's gonna be another position gained, as the guy on the inside is lagging a little bit, so need to be careful with him. And up to P9 we go. It's actually been an insane start to our 63 lap league race. We've gone from P17 to P9 in the space of a lap in a league race. As one of the McLarens actually got a bit out of shape.
I was so lucky he ghosted there.
And another like 3 positions gained for us right there. I was so lucky.
The guy ghosted exactly as I was gonna hit him.
Yeah, as you can hear me say there, I was very lucky, because that McLaren would have taken our front wing off, but he ghosted at the moment we were gonna hit him, and that was, we had an angel on our shoulder there. We were given a second chance in this race with that happening. We were so lucky that he did ghost, because we would have no front wing anymore if he didn't. So back to the race we go. P6 it is, and a purple first sector for us. So we've got really good race pace at the moment. Straight away putting in a purple sector, and 13 positions gained. Or no, sorry, 11 positions gained in the opening lap. Could not ask for anything better, of course. So we have to be thinking about those guys on inters as well. They might be coming out ahead of us once we box, and then we have to catch them on a freshly set of inters and re-overtake them again, which is not going to be easy. Anyone who does league racing on F1 knows how hard it is to overtake in wet conditions. It is near impossible to someone who has similar race pace to you. Even if you're 2-3 tenths per lap faster, it is just so hard to overtake. So Christoph Schelle, that's the guy I was talking about earlier on lap 1. He has done F1 Esports Challenger Series last year. I think he finished P3 in the championship, if I remember correctly. So he is quite rapid as well, and he's not going to be easy to pass for sure this race, as we set the fastest lap of the race there. I think we went around 2 tenths faster than our teammate Danny Bresney on that lap, but there's still a long way to go. There's a little slide there in turn 1. We didn't even have to correct it.
Oh, you got a little loosey-goosey to there.
As you can hear me say there, the guy had a little bit of a moment on that exit. We managed to keep it on the road. And
Christoph Schelle is league racer as well, no?
Yeah, he was in the Challenger Series as well.
Yeah.
As you can hear Danny say there, he was in the Challenger Series in F1 Esports, so he is going to have good pace as well. But wet conditions, I think the skill gap is a little bit bigger. Obviously, because there's less grip, easier to lose the car. So maybe we can manage to get past him if we have a very good race pace. Of course, he has to get past the Alfa Romeo ahead as well. And as I said, that is not easy. So let's see how difficult that Alfa Romeo is going to make it for Christoph, and see if he can take any advantage of that. Now we are suffering a little bit from dirty air now. We did still set a purple middle sector, but it also could be because the track is drying up. We're having a little look down the inside of Christoph, but can't quite pull it off. I've got so much more confidence on the brakes, but you can see we're struggling a little bit when we put the power down. Could be down to dirty air as well, of course, as Christoph is going to go for it on the Alfa Romeo of Gap into turn 1. I decided to turn off the overtake button, as Christoph gets squeezed off the track in turn 1, and that sends him a little bit wide, which gives us the opportunity to go for the switchback around the outside, and that is P5. Beautiful little battle we had right there with Christoph, and another position gained up to P5.
Milan Meyer sounds like a Dutch name.
As we still hold the fast lap actually from that first push lap, so no one has gone faster than us yet, and none of the inter runners have gone faster as well yet, which means we're probably still gaining a lot of time, but we need around 27 seconds to gain as we go around the outside in this long right-hander. Try to go for a switchback, couldn't quite pull it off. On the exit here, maybe if we get the power down nicely, we can pull it off. We're gonna turn on the overtake button, into the chicane we go, around the outside perhaps, but we can squeeze a little bit on the curb, and I decided to back out of it. Didn't quite nail the switchback though. Poor exit again, as I'm struggling a little bit to get the power down. Could be because we're maybe a little bit low on wings, I don't know, but yeah, rain has started to slow down now clearly. And we are gonna go once again on the attack on the Alfa Romeo ahead of us. We're gonna go down the inside of this right kink. He squeezes a little bit into the wall, but you can see actually we don't quite have the straight line speed. We have more momentum, but we're dropping back now, and into turn 1 we go. And yeah, I got caught off guard a little bit there with the
damage
braking point difference. Yeah, didn't expect him to brake that early. I think it's just a bit of a difference in skill as I'm trying to get the car turned in. It is clearly starting to get to inters now. And we're gonna have to box it in on this lap anyway, so let's replace our front wing straight away. We got Istvan Pukki in P7. He was 7 seconds behind, now 6, because we're driving around with all the front wing, of course. The pit stop being well over 20 seconds here, we're gonna come out around 20 seconds behind, and it's quite clear that starting on the inters was a way better strategy than starting on the wets, as you can see here, because we are now gonna come out around 20 seconds behind Istvan, maybe more, because we have to change our front wing as well, of course, and get through the traffic as well. We've got a lot of cars to overtake again that are on the inters, and I'm still trying to get past the Alfa Romeo of a Gap.
I have 2 warnings.
Really?
As, yeah, that's a huge thing around Imola as well, of course. Easy to get warnings as the Alfa
I
Romeo.
thought we got a 5-second penalty.
it gets a 5-second penalty. So into the box we go now for a new front wing and intermediates, but...
They're not changing my front wing. Are you taking the piss, EA?
You didn't set it.
Mate, half my front wing is gone. I expect them to change it.
No way. I should have thought.
What is this?
So, we boxed for a new front wing. Didn't get a new front wing, unfortunately. I had the repair wing damage set to auto. Didn't think about the fact that they maybe wouldn't change my front wing.
Has to come a safety car somehow.
Considering half of my front wing is gone. I would think that the game has enough logic that it would change it. But yeah, this means that for the rest of the stint we're gonna be losing over a second per lap because yeah, we're driving around with half a front wing. So I felt like I was not worth boxing again, simply because I think the pit stop around here is around 27-second loss plus a front wing, which means we would lose 32 seconds. And that means we would have to lose a second per lap for 32 laps straight. So I decided it was not worth it. We got up to P12 and we're just gonna stay out, you know, wait for the track to dry up, and then once we box we will go for slicks. But
are pitting, I will go one more.
One more.
as you can hear me say there, I'm gonna go one more, as we're actually green on this lap. And actually,
Wait, I got fastest lap there?
we got the fastest lap with front wing damage.
I think so.
Yeah, you did.
Let me cook, man.
I'm with you, Jake.
I'm cooking without front wing.
Okay, mate, we might need to look at a new race strategy after that. I've got some options for you, so go and check your MFD.
Please change my front wing, please. I'm begging you.
Yes.
I said it to yes, yeah. Never know with this game.
So now we're finally boxing for slicks and a new front
Yeah,
wing.
it'll be broken.
We hope so this time. I have set repair wing damage to yes, so they should replace it this time
I'm
around.
not ready.
Yeah. Even though Danny was around 10 seconds ahead, the pit crew still wasn't ready. So
I'm almost a lap behind by the end of this.
yeah, as you can even say, we're almost going to be a lap behind after this. It's more like half a lap to be honest, but it's not been an ideal start to my 100% league race adventure. Because yeah, as you can see there, we have spent around 36 seconds in the pit lane here, 36.6 actually. And that goes to show how much time we would have lost if we boxed for a new front wing again. So it was definitely the right decision to stay out and not change the front wing again and go for another pit stop, as Gap is back in front of us after doing his pit stop. And yeah, I'm gonna take it a little bit careful this time because yeah, the braking points are just so different for people who are like regular league races to F1 esports drivers, especially in the wet, of course. Yeah, I've just had so much more confidence that I got caught off guard in turn 1. Nothing the Alfa Romeo of Gap could do about. And now we are 12.5 seconds behind Christoph Schelle, who we actually passed when we were in intermediate, and it shows how much time we've lost. We are around 20 seconds behind our teammate Danny Bresnay. So yeah, we've got a big job to do here, not gonna lie. We have to somehow get back into the race. A lot of people have penalties though, and that will help us at the end of the race, especially if there's gonna be a safety car, which is quite likely, of course, in a 100% race, because this is a lot of time for someone to crash at some point, or two people to crash at some point. So yeah, I really like these 100% league races, because even though we've had a shunt early on, we're not out of this. We've got time to catch back up. If you've got good race pace, you can actually get back into the race after a bad qualifying. So I love these league races. So much different strategies as well. I definitely prefer it over a casual 50% league race. So on lap 33 now, we have caught back up to Christoph Schelle. I hope I say his name right. We're gonna go on the attack here. We saved a bit of fuel in the past few laps as well, because we're a little bit too low, as I'm expecting a safety car to have come out already at this point. And we need to keep in mind that there might not be a safety car to the end of the race. So I decided to save a little bit of fuel, and you know, just in case there's not going to be a safety car, even though there might be one.
Lap already?
So lap 35 now.
No,
You can see it has started to rain again, but the track is not really wet yet. So it is a bit of a tricky one. A lot of people staying out, including our teammate Danny Bresnay. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to be boxing for a new set of inters, because usually the crossover is quite aggressive on F1 games, and I feel like if you have the chance to box on another lap compared to your teammate,
no chance of getting held in the pits,
then you should take it, because otherwise you're going to get held in the pits. So
It's quite bad.
yeah, even though we are around 15 seconds still behind our teammate, you still tend to get held up if you double stack. So I decided to box and go on that lap, even though we might lose maybe half a second to a second on this lap time wise. If the crossover does happen, we gain time, plus we do not lose any time on the pit stop like we had in that first pit stop. So back we go on to the end of lap 36. You can see the crossover was aggressive as it's fully wet now. It's fully intermediate conditions, and that means we've definitely gained lap time by boxing the lap earlier.
Like crazy.
Even though I felt like it was going to be a lap too early, it still paid off well. And now once again, we're going to absolutely push it to the end of this stint, because it is going to dry up again, for sure, as you could see at the start of this race on the weather screen. So we're going to burn these tires completely before we have to go back to slicks again for the last part of the race. So we can gain some lap time to the top 5 and get as close as possible, just in case of a safety car. We want to be somewhere up there. End of lap 37 now. You can see how much time we're gaining to the 2 cars ahead. The Red Bull and the Aston Martin of RBT Benny and Uvegas Christoph. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. A lot of Hungarians in this league, and some of them have really hard names to pronounce, so I'm trying not to bottle them too hard. Through the final 2 corners we go. You can see how much time we're gaining on the brakes, but can't just quite get the power down as early as I would want, and try to go on the overtake button and make a move into turn 1, but yeah, just too far behind to do something. And the guys ahead were using the overtake button as well to fight each other as the Red Bull goes a little bit deep. I decided to set up the switchback for this left-hander, turn on the overtake button, and in wet conditions that's a very tricky traction zone, and we managed to get up to P8. So nice move done there. Now next up, the Aston Martin of Uvegas Christoph, and then we've got Milan Meyer. Sounds like a Dutch name, as I said earlier on in this race, but I don't think he is. I think he's Hungarian as well. So now once we get past the Aston, we've got 4-second gap to Milan, and then I think once we get past him, it is going to start to dry up soon again. So not a lot of laps on this set of inters, but of course when it is inters conditions you just have to box, because you easily lose 10 seconds per lap on a set of slicks in these conditions. So there was absolutely no chance we could have stayed out, and this was the only right strategy to do, as we are really close behind to Vegas now on the exit. We're gonna turn on the overtake button and go for a move into turn 1. Help of slipstream as well there as we go around the outside on the straight, which is gonna turn to the inside for this little left king and turn 1. Vegas didn't push it too hard or battle it too hard. He decided to it was better to save his powers for later on in the race.
Okay.
As
We are back, Danny. We are back.
As a safety car deployed for a crash, and yeah, that means we're back in it. We're gonna close the gap to P1 again. We're gonna box for a new set of inters for sure, because we're only gonna lose like 2 positions for a new set of inters. So boxing for slicks will be too tricky. Usually the safety car stays out for 3 laps, and as you can see, it doesn't look like it's gonna.
Everyone will have fuel. Even Thomas Gal from P2 he let me go, man. Because
I'm boxing. New Inters, calma.
good choice. So he let me go literally because I don't think he has enough fuel.
Really?
Yeah.
What fuel did I put in? I thought I would low.
So as you can hear Danny say there were actually people really struggling with fuel, because usually there's a lot of safety cars in this league, but this just wasn't until now, of course. So now we've got a lot of fuel saved again, simply because of the safety car. You're going so much slower, you don't use any fuel. We only lost one position with boxing for a new set of inters, so that was well worth it. And I think actually some people have gone for slicks, even though it is still raining. Because the pit lane is so long, it actually might work if it dries up in time. But that is the question, of course, that will be answered in around 10 laps time. We're gonna go racing again into turn 1. We're straight away gonna go on the attack on a much fresher set of inters. We only gotta overtake one person to get back into a previous position. And actually you can see there's a blue flag car, and we're gonna do the same move on Bainey as we did before. A little bit of a moment on the exit, but so much more traction on a new set of inters. And up to P6 we go. Zoltan up next, and then once we pass Zoltan, that's when we reach the Avon Esports drivers like Ben Sabo, Danny Bresnay, and I don't think Patrick Sipos is actually in this race, but he has done races before. And then we obviously got the Ferrari of Istvan Pukki, who is an Avon Esports driver as well. So we get past the lapped car that is ghosting, so we can just drive straight through him. And then we have to go on the attack to Zoltan. It is still raining, so I don't think the people who have chosen for slicks will get the advantage. Now, even if they do come out ahead once we box, they're gonna have done more laps on those slicks. Now in real life, of course, in these conditions you don't really use those slicks as we go down the inside of Zoltan up to P5. But on the game, if you drive on slicks in wet weather conditions, they still wear out quite a lot. So you're gonna need quite a big gap in order for that to work. But at the same time, if they do make it work, the pit lane is 27 seconds long. So yeah, it is going to be very close, as I'm going to stay out for one more lap, go on the attack to Ben Sabo ahead of us. I was thinking about boxing, but you can see the track is still so wet. I felt like we were going to lose so much time on our outlap that it was not worth it. So into turn 1 we go. We actually have to avoid a slow moving car that has retired from the race. And we're going to go on the attack on this exit. Can't quite get close enough to Ben Sabo though. Thomas Gal in P3 in the Alpine. We're going to have a little look maybe in the left-hander, but yeah, can't quite go for a move. Can't really send it, as Benz get a little bit of a moment. We get better traction early on the power. ERS enabled, but again, can't quite pull it off into this left-hander. Felt like I wasn't going to get my car far enough alongside to have a proper go at him, and decided to back out of that one so we can fight another day. As Jeff is waffling again. DRS enabled, which usually means slicks will work from here. But as you can hear Danny say there, he's boxing this lap. Which means if we will box now, we will easily lose 5-6 seconds on the double stack, because that's how much time you lose in a double stack on the F1 game. It's not like real life where you only need a 3 to 3.5 second gap. You will easily lose 6-7 seconds. So that's why I decided to stay out. Honestly, I felt like I was only gonna lose like 3 seconds here. So because when we came out of the final corner, it was still wet. But by the time we got to turn 1, it was basically instantly dry. So we are basically driving on a dry track now on Inters, and now I felt like we might actually lose a lot more time than those 2 or 3 seconds. A lot of people have gone for the softs, including Danny Resnay and Istvan Pukki. And then ahead of them is actually Christoph Scheller, who boxed for slicks under
what?
Safety car.
I don't think I could press a button. I clearly pressed it.
See you later, pit stop.
No, but like, there's You know, in the middle of the blue thing, usually there's a button that pops up so you can press it, but it didn't even show. I think so. I pressed it, maybe too late.
As now we go back to the racing. We had a late pit stop there.
Fun, innit?
As my button on the wheel didn't work. It happens sometimes randomly, sometimes happens with
Late
DRS.
charge. Oh my god, I lost so much time.
On the DRS as well, now it just happened on the pit stop, so that's a bit unfortunate.
It was
But
crazy. Imagine if we did it from our position.
yeah, as you can see there, we've actually lost around 6 seconds,
No,
7
I mean to
seconds,
you
so
as well.
we have
It was
lost
like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
pretty much the same amount of time as we would have double stacked, I think. So 6-7 second loss, as I actually thought it was going to be less for some reason. Because usually you don't lose that much time on inters in the dry, I feel like, but today we did lose a lot of time. Not sure why. It's probably a mix of having that mistake in turn 1, but also the slow pit stop, maybe a little bit slow on pit entry, and the fact that both Danny and Istvan went for the softs and we have gone for the medium. So a mix of things, I think, made the gap bigger than it
Better
actually
to
should
double
have been.
stack and lose 2 seconds. Yeah, always easy to talk after you've seen the results of the strategy.
As someone was backseat driving in the chat, but yeah, you lose so much more time in the game than in real life with double stacking, which this person obviously didn't realize. So I think it was definitely the right choice. Maybe it would have been better if you boxed the lap before that Danny boxed, but boxing on the same lap is just not an option on the F1 game, because you lose so much time on the double stack. As Norby gets a little bit of a moment in the fast chicane, we go around the outside, he squeezes us onto the grass, which means we have to go for a switchback here and get another move done and dusted up to P9. It's been a really fun race, to be honest. We've constantly been playing catch up to the rest of the grid, and it's going pretty well actually. We've got overtakes basically every single lap almost, and it's been so much fun. I love these 100% races. And up to P8 we go, and now we've got Gap ahead of us on the softs again, and I think he boxed for slicks as well on the safety car. But yeah, they just got like an extra 5 laps on these tires, and that's an extra 5 lap wear. So even though it seemed like they did a great strategy, they're just dropping through the field now because they're on so much worse tires. So yeah, hard to say if they made the right decision, to be honest, because initially it looks like a great strategy, because now they're dropping through the field like a stone. But yeah, let's see where the Shelle will finish. I'm gonna be careful once again through the chicane and just wait for the DRS rate, to be honest, because no point in sending it here, risking another front wing when we're about to get a free pass on the next straight. And then we've got Zoltan in P6 again. A little bit of a lift and coast for the fuel management. A little bit of cooling the engine as well, as we're running constantly in dirty air. The engine does start to overheat at some point. And we go across start finish a 16-0. As the Red Bull goes for a move as well, but he gets squeezed onto the grass completely.
The Red Bull gets really shoved onto the grass.
So not ideal for him. He drops back to P9 again after that, but he's going for it again, and as you're gonna see in a second, they got tangled and ended up in a little bit of a shunt. That's why there's yellow flags behind us. So up to lap 54 now, sorry. Behind Zoltan, you can see he's flashing, so he is low on battery, as I think he was trying to keep up with Christoph to make sure he was going to stay in the DRS. We're going to go for the move, not using any battery though, and that's because there's a yellow flag here for that slow moving car.
Give me green.
Making sure
Give me green flag.
I was giving Zoltan space on the outside there, so he could pass that slow moving car as well. But at the same time, I had to wait for a green flag, because if we would pass on the yellow flag, we would obviously get a penalty from the game. So yeah, that's not ideal. Christoph now ahead of us. He is the one who boxed under the safety car for slicks, and he was around our position under safety car as well, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we are back where we were basically on like lap 5 when we got damage, and 52 laps later we have connected again. We come across again each other. So lap 57 now. Of course, Christoph is going to be struggling to keep up. He's got a lot of penalties as well, as you can see in the top left. His tires are just 5 laps older, which doesn't seem like a lot, but you know, it is hurting you across a long stint for sure. So he's not going to be able to stay in the DRS for sure. We're going to go for the move on Ben Sabo, F1 Esports driver as well, into turn 1, DRS enabled. He's on the softs, so he's going to be dropping more and more as the race goes on. 6 laps remaining, and we've got a 5.8 second gap to Is van Poekie, who is on the softs as well, so it is not going to be easy to catch up to them, because they are F1 Esports drivers, both Danny and Is van Poekie. Is van for Ferrari, of course, and Danny is our teammate, so for Mercedes Esports. They are not pancakes, as we would say in Dutch. Lap 61 though. At the end of this one, there's gonna be 2 laps remaining, and we have caught up a fair amount to Istvan. 2.4 second gain so far in the past few laps, and we're gonna have to push like a madman in order to still win this race. But we're gonna go for it. We always have to push as hard as we can in case Danny and Istvan tangle in the final 2 laps. We're gonna go for it here. 2 laps to go. 3.2 second gap as we turn the overtake button on into turn 1. We're gonna go. It is now a 3 second gap, and we're gonna give out our absolute everything on this lap to try and get back into that DRS window. But it's not gonna be easy, because those top 2 have been saving battery for the past 10 laps more or less, and they are definitely gonna be on the 100% battery. But we are pushing for more than just the top 2. We're also gonna be pushing for the fastest lap, which is not gonna be easy, because the person who got the fastest lap set it on a new set of softs and a clear track. So not gonna be easy, but we did manage to set a purple first sector with the help of the DRS, and you can see there we've actually gained over a second so far on this lap. So we are gaining a lot, but it's not gonna be enough. We need at least 1.7 seconds per lap in order to catch up, and we also need to get past. So at this point, it is out of our hands. We just need to wait.
Still trying for fast lap. I have no tires.
But yeah, as you can hear me say there, we've got no tires. We just need to hope at this point for a big battle between Is van Poekie and Danny Bresnay. Danny has got a 3 second penalty, so in case Danny does drop into P2, then we will back off. Because Danny is fighting for a championship here. We are not. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing any more of these races, to be honest. We've got WR coming up soon again as well, so I just really get bored if I only can practice for F1 Esports. I want to be doing more. I want to constantly be racing. Just practicing laps drives me nuts, to be honest. So I want to be league racing. But yeah, as you can see there, we are backing off here in the last sector of the race. We're just taking it very slowly to make sure Danny is more than 3 seconds ahead of us, and he can gain or basically lose less points in the championship.
This was a long race, man.
Because yeah, most likely we're not in for the championship anyway in this competition, because I'm not sure I'm actually going to be doing more than this race. I did really enjoy it though, you know, constantly trying to fight back after being put on the back foot by our own fault, of course, multiple times. It was so much fun, constantly trying to get back to the field, as we actually got drive today there after starting P17. Especially at that first lap was so much fun, because these guys are actually fast, you know. It's not easy to fight back through the field, but they are just slightly lower than F1 Esports level, so makes it so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. My first 100% league race on F1 23. Make sure to like, subscribe for more of this. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of me doing this 100% league race. I think it's a lot of fun doing random tracks, and yeah, it just shows who has the most natural skill. We can just jump from track to track and be top level. Make sure to like, subscribe, let me know in the comments, as I said before, and see you guys next time. Ciao.
I'm in the AMG, no bitch, you better